And we're live. And it's called the Locker Room 981. It's part of the Smooth Breakfast here with Valentine.
And Fola, good morning. Welcome.
Good morning. Hi, Tega.
Good morning, Valentine.
Good morning to you. Wow. I was aiming for some excitement, but because it's going to be an exciting time in the locker room from now till 8:45. So do join us by sending messages through WhatsApp to 0809
And you can also tweet at smooth981fm, hashtag lockerroom981.
Excellent. We're streaming live on YouTube, so use that. Take advantage of it to see
Tega
Tega's.
struggling with her chair.
Thank you very much. And the way she gives me looks during the show. In the meantime, let's start with this one about Larry and the Raptors. So, with a weary Leonard fighting through fatigue, the Toronto Raptors found enough energy to pull away from the Milwaukee Bucks. Kyle Lowry led the way, and Lowry scored 25 points. Leonard had 19, and the Raptors beat the Milwaukee Bucks 120 to 102 on Tuesday nights to even the Eastern Conference Finals at 2 games apiece. According to Lowry, he said this was one of the nights that we knew that Kawhi was a little bit limited, and we had to come out and be aggressive for him.
Yeah, I don't know. It's been okay. So after the last game that they won in double overtime over Milwaukee Bucks, when Milwaukee Bucks thought that, we had this in the bag.
Yeah.
We should have been up 3-0. It just looked good. They
Until
really should have been
last
up.
minute.
Yeah, they should have been up
They
3-0.
should be.
Because this particular one, the Raptors didn't leave it in doubt. They actually went all out to show them that, look, we're the North.
Yes.
So we're winning here.
Guess what? It goes beyond just flukes. It
Yes.
goes beyond last minute
It's
wins.
not. You're not the only scrappers here. But what it was Kawhi did look like he was struggling with something after that double overtime, because he kind of limped off the court, and there were questions, but he kept saying he was okay, he was fine, but he did look drained, and he is fatigued. Even the nurse of Toronto, of the Raptors, came out to say that they are trying to see what they can do to get him as much rest as possible. So, but he did put up 19 points, not a bad turnout, but your player with an average of 25 ppg, you know that 19 is pretty much not a very good day. However, the rest of the team rallied to get to the playoff finals, and here's what was happening in the Eastern Conference. Milwaukee Bucks and Toronto Raptors are here slugging it out, and Golden State Warriors can even take a mini vacation before they find out who their opponents would be in the final, and then go ahead to play. That's how dominant the Golden State Warriors have been in the Western Conference Series. They swept a team in the final of the series. That was just ridiculous. Portland Trail Blazers had no answers. So Golden State Warriors will get the much desired rest and hopefully not get into a less competitive mode before the Eastern Conference will decide who their winner is. Whether it is the Bucks or it is the Raptors, it is going to be a fatigued team that is going to fight against a well-rested Golden State Warriors.
Wow.
Doesn't look hopeful.
So it's not going to work in their favor?
It's already looking like another Golden State Warriors win. It has been looking like that since the beginning of the season, but now it's dawning again on some of
might
us.
surprise you.
Nobody's sure. No, nothing.
Okay.
If it's one-off game,
Yeah.
it's a game of 7 series. Golden State is winning it. Let's just see.
Okay, so let's move on to women's football right now. Thomas Denby has explained why Evelyn Nwaboko has made Nigeria's provincial squad for the Women's World Cup. Evelyn's last 2 games were brilliant. She's getting better and better with every game. I'm happy with that, he said.
Okay, so Evelyn used to be captain of the Super Falcons, and she was a midfielder, but she got slower. That's what happens sometimes. And what Denabi needs, what he's saying that he needs is runners in the middle of the park. So if you can't outpace,
keeping up,
then you're going to be dropped. So he had dropped her. She didn't go to the African Women's Cup of Nations in Ghana. She didn't go with them to China. She didn't go with them for anything. Then he calls her up for Wafu Cup, and he plays as a central defender. So maybe he's looking for a ball carrier, for a central defender, and he tried her out, and she worked at the Waffle Cup. They won it. He watched her all through, and he felt, okay, I'm confident with her as a central defender. And so he has called her on his provisional list. Whether he will take that risk of a converted midfielder to a central defender to the World Cup is a totally different kettle of fish. Remember, you're facing a team like France and Norway.
Well, he seems to be quite satisfied. He says she's getting better and better.
Yeah, but you see, it's one thing to put somebody on your team as part of the squad.
Yes.
It's another thing to use that person as your starting 11.
That's a risky
Or
business.
that,
very risky.
So he's saying she's getting better and better. That means she's good enough for her to have caught his attention. But you're trying to use her in a big game against a French team when you have two central defenders that you are sure can do the job. It's a different kettle of fish. I don't know many coaches that will risk it, but let's wait and see.
All right, quick one. Formula One, 3-time Formula One world champion Niki Lauda has died. He died at 70.
Yeah, sad loss. The guy that battled a fire and won. So on the 1st of, I think it was August, sometimes in August, not 1st of August, sometime in August, that was the first fight he had, or the first close up he had with death. His car caught fire, and it burnt most parts of his face and his neck. And so then when that accident happened, after burning most parts of his face and neck, he also inhaled toxic smoke, which that's what damaged his lungs.
Yes.
In fact, they're taking him to the hospital. They have done his final rites because they thought he was dead.
Yes.
This guy recovered. Not only did he recover, he continued racing with bandages on his head, and the next season he won the Formula One championship. Just yeah, just for good measure. The fire happened in 76. He won in 77. Looked like he wasn't enjoying his time very much. Took a mini break to go and run a chartered flight business. Came back and won again in 1984.
And still came back on the board of Formula One.
Yeah,
Remember he was back in
just a big boy driver.
I'm telling you.
So he's close. So that was his close shave when they read his final rights in 76. This guy not only came back and became world champion, he survived and came into Formula One. His most recent appointment was with the Mercedes team, but that long problem from that time until this time, it affected him till then. So he had a lung transplant, and they thought he was going to get better. He was going to be okay. Unfortunately, he didn't, and that's what caused him to die. So in as much as he survived the accident, it still had the side effects. Yeah, it's still the fallout of that.
Till 70.
Yeah, that's
something.
At least now I understand how Lewis Hamilton has been doing so well.
So, but it's such a huge loss. When I just saw Niki Lauda, I said, "Oh, he did not make it." To me, it was like, look, this guy survived fire.
Who would always bounce
Yeah,
back.
he's fine. I didn't think much of it. I was just like, surgery, he'll be back.
He'll be fine. He has
We'll
9
be
lives.
fine. We'll see him later. But it's a sad loss, and it's a huge loss for Formula One. It's the one face you'd want to see. But he was a fighter. He was a survivor. He's a legend. He's written his name in the sands of time. Hopefully, the F1 team will rally around the family to help them overcome this loss, and I hope that they have the fortitude to bear the loss.
All right.
Sad one.
We take your messages here on Twitter. This one here from Formidable Citizens. It was no wonder.
Okay.
All right. Okay. It's an old
It's an old
message.
one.
All right. So this one's from Chimobi from Alaba International. He said, "For me, the Super Falcons coach hasn't done anything spectacular since he took over. I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't go past the group stage at the Women's World Cup."
If it was the men, if it was the Super Eagles that are ranked with the ranking of Super Falcons and playing in the group of the Super Falcons that Super Falcons are playing in, will you expect the men to go past group stage? People should behave yourself. People should behave yourself in this Lagos.
Sorry, no.
I'm angry.
Okay. Let's take a break. Take a breather. We'll be back for more stories inside of the locker room.
Like the ridiculousness of them. Nigeria is world number 36. Do you know the closest person to them? World number 11
Wow.
in their group.
Imagine.
People should be careful, though. Be very careful.
Stop pointing at our listeners. Arsenal midfielder.
Hi, people. I'm not pointing at you. I'm just pointing at Chimawi.
You understand?
Indeed.
We're always saying these things. Can Super Eagles beat France? Can Super Eagles?
Let's be realistic.
Or the equivalent of Norway at the World Cup. Even without Ada Headabout. Oh, correcting. I'm sorry. Sorry, don't be offended.
What?
Oh, he says his name is not Shinzo. His name is Abe.
Abe.
It's his daddy's name that is Shinzo, so you guys should know what to call him.
Shinzo Abe. Abe Shinzo, not Shinzo Abe.
Like, you guys, you better know.
So wait, his own name is Abe.
Yeah.
Okay, so his dad is Shinzo.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Like, you guys should not. No mix it up.
Okay.
You recognize.
You heard, Mr. Abe.
Laku, why were you pushing my chair? I will beat you.
I'm telling you, she's awake now.
I'm awake now. I'm still cold though. I'm wide awake. And if anybody complains about my voice, you shall be beaten. I can see clearly now, and something, some, and something, some. I'm wide awake. I think I'm singing a song. I'm not sure.
Hi, my name is Maya Tafo. There's so many things about Lagos that would excite you and disgust you. I know my Lagos because of food. Yeah, believe it or not, food. I love the beat Lagos gives to you on a Monday morning. You feel there's a need to hustle. I love the relaxation it gives you on a Sunday morning where you feel you have to go and watch it. It feels like it's a different city. But all those things
I'm back.
make it my Lagos.
Mike's all right?
And that's why I love this city.
Good to know you're there. You're listening to Smooth 98.1 in time for the locker room here on Smooth Breakfast with me, Valentine,
And Fola, good morning.
and Tega Supreme. And of course, check us out on Twitter at Smooth91FM with the hashtag LockerRoom91, and on YouTube where you check out our faces as we share the stories with you. YouTube is youtube.com/Smooth91FM Lagos.
Of course, send us WhatsApp messages 0809 444 0981.
Arsenal midfielder Henrik Mkhitaryan will not play in the Europa League final against Chelsea on the 29th of May. It is understood that the Armenian, who's 30 years old, feared for his safety on the pitch in Baku, Azerbaijan. In his words, Mkhitaryan said, "Having considered all current options, we had to take the tough decision for me not to travel with the squad to the Europa League final. It's the kind of game that doesn't come along very often, and I admit it hurts a lot to miss it."
Okay, and so there was an outrage on Twitter yesterday and everywhere else that football is watched by fans, but it is a major problem. Azerbaijan and Armenia, which is where Henrik Mkhitaryan is from, have had a diplomatic fallout for since whenever. So they don't even give visas to Armenians in the first place.
Oh, wow.
You can't visit the country.
Wow.
Their relationship
That's
is
tough.
that bad. And for UEFA to now take the final to Azerbaijan, first of all, I would say this: if it were a bigger country that had, or a European superpower that had these diplomatic issues with Azerbaijan, number one, the final will never have held there. So think about it: if it was either Spain or Germany that had this level of problems, some people say, but England had problems with Russia. It wasn't like this. It wasn't this kind of diplomatic issues where they don't even give visas or you don't even visit their countries. It's two different things. Is that somebody died and they suspected that it was Russia, and everybody was like, it wasn't me. So that's different. But if you were such a big country that had that problem with Azerbaijan, number one, UEFA won't have held the final there. So the fact that they put the final there, number one, is maybe because of the small country. So they didn't really research into that development. However, a team now makes it to the final, and they find out that one of the players can't travel because of this diplomatic role. Again, If it were somebody like Cristiano Ronaldo or Messi, guaranteed they will move the final.
Yeah.
It's because it's money now, and it's politics also. They will move the final. But Henrik Mkhitaryan is not really one of their commercial players. He doesn't sell T-shirts like that. He doesn't sell the billboard. He doesn't. He's
not as famous.
Yeah, he's not. So those are two things, which is why it is upsetting. So you can't come out and say football is for anyone, anywhere, and then
apparently not.
And then Mkhitaryan can't travel. And so UEFA have come out to say that yes, that they've made security, that they've assured, they've spoken with Azerbaijan. They were assured of Mkhitaryan's security and everything. But you see, what you can only say is that Azerbaijan has guaranteed that they will be able to bring good security for Mkhitaryan, but they cannot say they are assured of his safety, because you can't even stop pitch invaders on a normal day from getting on the pitch. You only catch them and arrest them and ban them for life. So imagine if somebody pretends to be a pitch invader and gets on the pitch.
What do you do?
When he's playing.
That's a recipe for chaos.
Exactly. So except he wants to play in a bomb box, or he doesn't show up at all. So
That's not going to happen.
So look, at the end of the day, for me, it was the perfect decision not to even travel at all. But it's sad that UEFA continued to, because I keep saying this. If it were a bigger name player, I'm sure something would have been done about it. But again, it's Mkhitaryan, so Arsenal will have to play without one of the he's an important player, and they would have to go without him, and it's a really sad one.
Moving to Juventus and Roma, where both clubs are targeting Chelsea boss Maurizio Sarri. He's a target for Juventus and Roma, and the Chelsea head coach is open to a return to Italy.
Can you imagine? Okay, so when I hear this news, so I don't know how it makes me feel, because you have to think about it, that this is Maurizio Sarri in England that we are calling sorry ball now, and Juventus just fired Allegri and said they couldn't move forward with him because he didn't do well in Europe. So is it because Maurizio Sarri has qualified Chelsea for the final of the Europa League that a club like Juventus will now be looking at him? Like, this is the guy this is the guy that failed in Napoli. You beat him in Napoli. Senseless. As much as his football in Napoli was pretty on the eye, it still wasn't effective. So why would you fire Allegri and get a Sarri? So I'm just hoping that this is rumors just going around. And for Roma, they just got in the Tinkerbell man. Allow him to tinker the team a little next season before you now decide that it's a failed project. But for me, it's a bit too soon for you to determine that that's what they call Claudio Ranieri now, the Tinkerbell man. So but I think it's a bit too soon for you to fire Claudio Ranieri for a job that you've just brought him into, and he still has to feel his way around the team. But let's wait and see if Sarri will even leave Chelsea first. First things first.
Messages on WhatsApp. This one here is from Ogoin Via. He says, I saw the Niki Lauda movie some time ago, and that was one of the things that attracted me to Formula One in the first place. Sad to hear he's gone. Thank you, Ugo. We're sad too. Now, Chelsea is set to appoint Peter Cech as sporting director when he retires in the summer. Cech will return to Chelsea this summer in a new sporting director role at the club. The Arsenal goalkeeper, who turned 37 this Monday, announced that he will retire from playing after next Wednesday's Europa League final in Azerbaijan against his former and future employers at Stamford Bridge. Cech remained coy on social media, reiterating that he will make a decision after the Europa League final in Baku. In his words, despite the news today, as I have already said to everybody before, I will make a decision about my future after the last game. Now my sole focus is to win the Europa League with Arsenal.
Yes, you shall focus on Arsenal from the bench. Because, look, I don't know what people are talking about. Yes, I know that Petr Cech can be selected. Look, he's the one that he's been playing he's the goalkeeper in choice for the Europa League. No doubt about that. That has been his role. But you now announce a week before the final that you're going to be moving as sporting director to the team that we are playing in the final, and you think that we should not allow you to look. Truth be told, I know that he's not going to throw the game because he'll want to win a championship as his retirement. So I know he'd want to win the game, but can I trust that you will not be also nervous?
Based on his consistency, I think.
Can I trust that you'll not be nervous? Because you're going to look, anything he does now, any mistake he makes, mistake that mistake that he would have made genuinely in another game, will because of the announcement, we'll say it's a lie.
It's because of this thing.
You threw the match. It's going to. It's just. There's always going to be that conflict of interest question, which is why this announcement may not have been. And again, it was my colleagues on the other side that must have sniffed out the information, and then they will have no choice as to either not completely deny it or just say we'll talk about it later. But I know somebody sniffed out the story. I'm not sure that they meant to announce it now. But it's out. So this decision should have been taken on a handshake over pepper soup last night. No need to formalize anything.
Or make it public.
Or make it. So because once you formalize it, somebody will now be standing by the check is coming back, and then he'll pass it to the next person, and then the news will break, because everybody wants to break news these days. And so maybe it wasn't a formal announcement. It was sources that somebody got this news out wrong time, totally wrong timing. It's how else think about it. If you go to training today
and your
looking just looking at like sporting director, you want to stand in my goalpost, sporting director. My friend, got sportingly direct yourself to the bench. Let me just see road. But I just it's a tricky one. It's messy. It's not the right time. But I don't think, again, he will not throw the match. In fact, I think because of that announcement, he may want to do his best to try and win. Yeah, just to try and win the championship before he goes. But I'm not a gambling man. You see? I'm not a gambling man.
All right. So France is planning to call up Lenglet for Bolivia friendly and Euro qualifiers. Didier Deschamps on Tuesday has called up an uncapped trio of players, including Barcelona centre-back Clement Lenglet, for a 24-man squad for the World Champions friendly against Bolivia on the 2nd of June, and Euro 2020 Group H matches against Turkey on June 8 and Andorra 3 days later.
Okay. Yes. So there's been an uproar again on social media about the team selection, how Aymeric Laporte didn't make this team, and the likes of Zuma from Everton made the team. And I totally agree with that. I mean, thinking about it, if you're already going to take Samuel Umtiti, then you are taking a better version of Zuma. Why are you taking another Zuma? What you need is you're taking Varane. What you need is another ball carrier. Then you should ideally carry Laporte. But again, coaches trust who they trust. Now, some people have also made mention about taking Giroud over Lacazette. Look, I will take Giroud every day of the week. He's a different kind of striker. He gives you that option. Or he's an out-and-out striker. That's where he plays.
Maybe that's the uniqueness that the coach has recognized on the case of Zuma and the other guy.
There's no case. Umtiti and Zuma play the same way. Just that Umtiti is a better Zuma. It's the end of it. There's no similarity. But with Lacazette and Giroud, they're two different people. However, I would question that Lacazette in his form doesn't make the team. But again, managers will pick those that they are comfortable with. It's that simple. It can be the way you say your good morning, or it can be the way you jog.
It could be the way they smile.
So, and the manager will say, I prefer that to this. End of discussion. Nothing you can do.
Whatever happens inside the locker room
stays inside the locker room.
Let's take a break. We'll be back after this.
That's literally our last story, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, that is.
No, we shouldn't have read that story. We should have read this. We should have read this first, because the messages are not coming in.
And the commercials, advert is 3 minutes. We'll take this message. Let's check YouTube. Is that network?
No.
Internet? No, there's internet. No. I'm using my internet actually.
Is it that smooth?
It's working.
It's working.
Don't worry, we only have 1 minute left after the ads.
Yeah, but we have more than one message.
Okay.
That's in 1,000 naira.
Okay, the messages are just
Aha.
coming in. Okay, so we can
We're
read their
good.
messages.
Yeah, we're good.
And dial *154*2#. Come on, try it. Just try it. Star one
Okay,
five
no, we have to read the first good morning
This one.
before we go to OZ.
Have nothing to
Airtel, the smartphone network.
Okay. Now, wow, we really need money. Why are we playing this advert?
I know, right? Do you know who first messaged me when they heard it? Fola. He said, "Ah, I heard the council is not that alpha."
You guys
I
need
said,
money.
"Yeah."
Niggas45.com. Ó lè rà, kó tà, kó tún pààrọ̀ ọkọ̀.
Hey, Vivian. Hi, Amina. Where are you in a rush to? I'm off to the nearest LG designated showroom. To do what? To buy an LG washing machine. Oh, okay. Guess what? I also get a free area detergent of up to 2 kg with this offer. Wow. Hey, why
Only.
don't we go together? Bet I will. Don't miss out on such great an offer.
The
Simply
accent
buy
on the
any
voice
LG
is
front or top load automatic washing machine and get a free pack of area detergent from any
Area.
LG authorized shop. Offer valid till May 2019. Terms and conditions apply.
LG.
That's good.
Alright guys, now let me tell you how my typical day works. In the morning, the first thing I do is turn on my radio, hit the buttons on my stereo,
Because it's the first thing I turn on to kickstart my day.
and listen
Yeah,
to my
I
favorite
wonderful.
radio station. And instantly I'm plugged into my own world of music and life. Yes.
First thing you do is turn on your radio. First of all, when I wake up, only 2 of my senses wake up.
My radio understands.
The rest, they probably wake
You're
up at
still
10.
All right, we're back.
Yeah.
This is Labby Phillips.
This is my name is Tunde.
Mics are up. Today's live.
It's from RSA. Keep it tuned on Smooth 98.9.
This is the locker room here on Smooth 98.1. We're still sharing stories in sports, and we have your messages here on WhatsApp. Now, this one is from Lukman from Ijebode. He says, "Good morning. I wish the Super Falcons a successful World Cup. Golden State Warriors are playoffs winners in waiting. Can UEFA take away the next European Championship in Azerbaijan to another country? Is Fola, I'm listening to this moment. Fola, the favored woman. Yes, that's the one. The same one that you call AKA Boss Lady. That's right. Lukman, thank you very much for tuning in. And we have this other one from OZ.
Ozet says, I think Arsenal should boycott the Europa League final and hopefully Chelsea would follow suit. They need to take a stand. But someone said, nah, that's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. You leave the match and Chelsea will gladly collect the trophy.
And Bitsy says, Peter Cech, that was a master stroke by Chelsea. Massive mind games on Arsenal. Just imagine how it divides and distracts them. I see 1 or 2 own goals. Nah, that's not going to happen.
He may not play. I'm telling you, as I'm looking at Emery, he looks like me. He may not.
Check out what Tega is up to on Twitter at Tega Supreme or at LIS International. In the meantime, we will take a break, we'll play some music and pay some bills, and we'll be back at the top of the hour for Lagos Talks 981. Fola, what are we going to talk about then?
Interesting. Okay, so we're talking about the ban on plastic bags by the House of Reps.
Yeah, passing a bill on that. We'll
Yes.
discuss. All right, please call us. Remember that number to call is 0144899981.
No, wow. They had tornadoes? I love Nigeria.
I know, right?
I'm not relocating anytime soon.
Yeah.
Every single jump, every trip,
I can't stop it though.
every wicket,
How do you stop it?
And
every breakaway,
Anybody end?
And no idea.
every cross, every pass, every dunk, Stop.
First choice.
Every victory.